evening, my name's Alex Campbell and you're watching Examining the Expanse. So we open with this incredibly suspenseful sequence depicting Filip and the Free Navy attacking this research facility. We see rock number 9, 173 days from Earth, and the tension is just so high in this moment. Last season we perfectly set up Marco by showing him killing Ashford, this beloved and competent character, and now here this setup for Filip is also very well executed. We see that he's been indoctrinated into this ideology by his father and this Free Navy, and he's this young extremist just on the edge of society with this axe to grind. I thought the actor did an absolutely incredible job throughout these 3 episodes. I can believe him as this young fanatic, and this opening sequence did a lot to build to this imminent disaster.
The Rock, what do you know?
Nothing. We just got here. We do.
Who knows what you know?
Nobody.
We then cut to the remainder of the Rocinante crew on Tycho station. It's basically just Holden and Naomi left at this point in time. We get introduced to a bunch of new characters, including Bull, who was a previous character from book 3, who wasn't in season 3, and then now they've interjected him into the narrative here in season 5, which is interesting. There's been previous characters from the books that have been pulled forward or left out completely, but to take Bull out and then rethink about what they could use him for and put him here in season 5 is good. He seems like an arsehole, but I mean, I guess that's his character, and I think I will warm up to him in time as the season progresses. And I've heard theories from people that he will possibly be replacing Alex at the end of this season in the Rocinante, because as we know, Chatham won't be in season 6. Now, when I first heard about this, I rewatched season 4 and I was like, yeah, that's fine. I don't think it will impact on the narrative much at all, because Alex didn't do a whole lot in season 4 if you go back and watch it. He's basically the pilot, and I'll cut to him occasionally sitting in his chair and he says pilot stuff. But then I was somewhat disappointed, because watching these 3 episodes, Alex gets a hell of a lot of character moments, like more character moments in these 3 opening episodes than he may have gotten in the previous 4 seasons. And it made me remember that I do really like Alex. He is a great character, and it's sad that Casanvar has allegedly done these things. I'm not trying to diminish them in any way, because they are serious, and if he did do them, which I think is where the evidence is pointing, then obviously it's horrific and they made the right move by getting rid of him. But it did make me a little bit sad to see all these great character moments with Alex and then realize that after this season he's gone.
Hey Bobby, looks like I'm right on schedule. Looking forward to having drinks and seeing you in person. Lots to talk about. Anyways, I have found the perfect spot. Here's the details. See you there, partner.
This is also the first time that we've seen our beloved crew split up in this way. They've all been together, this little family on the Rossi for 4 books and 4 seasons now. I started listening to the beginning of book 5 and they have all these great little character moments with our crew. They're basically on Tycho station while the Rocinante is getting repaired, and Alex and Amos have their own room, and then Holden and Naomi have their own room, but Alex and Amos keep on coming into Holden and Naomi's room to spend time with them and ordering food from there, and Alex is sleeping on the couch, and they're just all so familiar with each other that they find it hard not to spend time with each other. And now, yeah, this season completely fractures the crew and throws them into different parts of the solar system. They're all kind of on these little emotional journeys, digging up their past, and yeah, we have these overarching themes here of isolation and depression and being alone and trying to fix the past. And it's kind of ironic that we have all these themes playing out of isolation and being alone, because this is the first review I've done of The Expanse by myself. I think the previous 25 of them have been with either Jasper or Steve. And for anyone who is a previous viewer of this channel and is interested as to why I am alone, there is a story and I will tell it at the end, but if you're just here for Expanse stuff, then let's hook in.
Alex and Amos are both off station on personal business.
Ooh. That's too bad.
There's also been these little mini behind the scenes podcasts released. I believe it's called The Expanse Aftershow, and I'll put them in the description if anyone is watching this and hasn't seen them. They're really great to get insights into the making of this season. It's with Ty, Franck, and Wes Chapman, and Wes Chapman refers to them as Ty and that guy, which I thought is quite funny. And yeah, it's great to get all these behind the scenes making of moments into this show. There's also one podcast on The Sopranos called Talking the Sopranos with Steve Sharippa and Michael Imperioli, and they much more follow this long form idea of a podcast. Some of them just dissecting an episode will go for 3 hours, and it won't always be about the episode. They'll talk about times they went out for beers and enjoyable moments they had together, or just tell stories about their lives. So yeah, I'd like to see this Expanse after show thing be less condensed down and just let them be more open and free and just talk. I could watch them for an hour or 2 hours. And on this first episode we got Naren Shankar, the showrunner, on it, and it was crazy just to hear him and his role as the showrunner. He basically has his finger in every aspect of the show from beginning to end when it comes down to conceptualizing the art and the pre-production and the writing of the scripts, and then the production and the filming and the hiring of the directors and the budget and the scheduling, and then all the post-production stuff, the editing and the special effects and the music. And yeah, I just want to say thank you to this guy, because you know, not a lot of people can just spend so much time of their lives just creating a product, and he is absolutely like in it and giving it all, and he's obviously very passionate about the Expanse. But yeah, like I said, not a lot of people can just go without sleep and not see their family and just spend the whole year 7 days a week 24 hours a day basically making the Expanse. So thank you, Naren, thank you. So Amos, one of the most beloved characters on this show, also gets a lot of great character moments in these episodes. He's going back to Baltimore to deal with people from his past. We get this great fight sequence with him early on a ship heading down towards Luna. And Naren Shankar talked about this in this behind the scenes thing, that basically they choreographed this big epic fight scene with Wes Chapman, and they filmed it and they were editing it, and I just couldn't get it to work. It wasn't emotionally or tonally in the right place. It was just a big epic awesome fight basically. So they got the fight and they cut it down to these few little tiny violent moments, basically because it's more important to see Amos's fractured mental state at this point in time. You can show a cool fight scene and Amos beating up people is always going to be awesome, but more important to the narrative is where he is psychologically. And yeah, his first chapter in the book, he talks about, he thinks he's sick initially, because obviously Amos has trouble expressing himself. He's disassociated himself with empathy and emotions. So he feels like he's sick at first, and then yeah, he basically comes to the realization that he's not sick, he's just sad. They're like, the idea that sadness is such a foreign emotion to him, that when he starts to feel it, he doesn't know how to process it, or he doesn't even know what it is. So yeah, it's really cool to get these deep psychological dives into Amos's psyche. He's just beating the shit out of people because that's the way he gains control. He doesn't have any control here, and he's sad, so he just falls into his old habits of beating the fuck out of people. So the world of the Expanse is always changing and evolving, and I love here now how we get the Rossi crew all being minor or major celebrities, and how that manifests itself in different ways. We get a little moment with Holden at Tycho station and some belters give him a cheers and he's like, hey! But yeah, being celebrity obviously has positive and negative aspects. We get a moment later on with Naomi and these two belters. And yeah, I absolutely love these two, like, really full-on belters. Their belter Creole is so thick, and just their like cadence and their vernacular and the way they spoke and the way they looked, I absolutely love them. Just standing over Naomi for her pulling herself out of the muck and being jealous and angry at her because she wasn't working in the belt anymore and her life had progressed and she's found some success and money and fame. So yeah, kudos to those actors. They did an absolutely brilliant job.
I know it's hard times around here.
Fuck a thing you know about hard times.
I worked in the refinery a long time ago.
So yeah, we used to work in refinery too. Not long ago.
Fucking ring. Oh, the job go right back down the weller for the ingers.
I'd also like to tip my hat to Dominique Tripper in this opening here of this season. She's the actress who plays Naomi. I think at the beginning, a few of the actors weren't incredibly seasoned. They weren't bad, but they were just learning the ropes in a lot of ways. And she was one who was, yeah, not very experienced. She hadn't done many jobs before The Expanse. But over these 5 seasons and these 6 years, she's come so far. And she had a lot of great scenes where her acting really shone. And it just struck me that she's come a long way and she's learned a lot of things. Particularly the scene with her and Filip. I thought she did an absolutely brilliant job. I have to talk about Thomas Jane here too, in the long tradition of sci-fi, that of Star Trek The Next Generation and Stargate SG-1, that pulls actors and puts them behind the camera and makes them directors. Yeah, Thomas Jane directed episode 3. Thomas Jane, for those who don't know, is the actor who played Miller. And I thought he did an absolutely wonderful job. I love the guy, he's so great on that Ty and That Guy little podcast thing. Just watching him, it just filled me with joy. He's smoking a pipe and his shirt is open, he's got a cross on his chest, he's like itching his pipe with his face, and he's so laid back and just naturally charismatic. Yeah, so he talked about that in that little episode, blocking, which for those who don't know what blocking is, it's basically where everyone is in relation to the lens, that is characters and objects. But yeah, basically you can infer emotional intent just by where people are in relation to each other and the lens, like body language and whatnot. And in the script with Naomi and Filip, they were both just sitting down at a table and having this big emotional conversation about, you know, her abandoning him and loss and love and pain and hate. But then, yeah, Thomas Jane changed it up and he made it so Filip is kind of coming through the room and he looks at his mother and he's about to leave and she calls him back. So she's sitting down initially and he's standing up, and it just changes the emotional dynamic completely. Then later on she gets more emotional and she's standing up and Filip's right in her face. Once again, this actor that they cast to play Filip is great casting, because I can believe him 100% as this extreme fanatic brought into this doctrine by his father, and now he's just has this axe to grind and he's out for blood. So yeah, I tip my metaphorical hat to Thomas Jane for directing that beautiful sequence and the blocking that he chose to do, and Dominique Tripper, and I don't know the actor's name who plays Filip, but all incredible jobs here.
Just take it.
Fuck you.
I know what you're going through. I know this sounds crazy.
You
but
don't know shit. Yeah, I don't need you.
It's also funny to see the southern parts of Mars manifested in this little weird cowboy bar that's all sci-fi. The design of it was really interesting. It's like a cowboy bar, but then like people are wearing cowboy hats with like neon lights around the rims of their hats, and it's sci-fi and modern, but it's old school and western, and yeah, it's a bit silly, but that's fine. I liked it. And yeah, Bobby comes in, and I understand where she's coming from. Like, basically her whole life is collapsing. Her culture and her civilization and the planet that she was born in and raised in is completely crumbling before her. She lost her job, which was one of the main facets of her very existence. She got fired. She's not doing well with her family. Those relationships seem fractured. And yeah, she just comes in here and just starts like verbally abusing Alex. I was like, whoa, Jesus, Bobby. I know your life is crumbling around you, but maybe you could ease it up a bit, eh?
Look, I came all this way to patch things up with Talissa, and she pretty much slammed the door in my face, and she had every reason to. But once she cools down, I'm gonna call her, and we're gonna talk. I'm still talking to Melis.
Jesus fucking Christ. If you wanted to be your son's hero, you should have shown up 3 years ago.
What?
Get it through your head. It's over. Move on.
We also get some really great, big, epic, cinematic, establishing shots within these episodes. There's one of Luna, which is entirely just CGI, and we follow this ship down, landing on this base for our first introduction to Luna, which was great. And yeah, there's this amazing opening shot of Baltimore at the beginning of the second episode. And the way that they executed it is actually reasonably incredible. They had this helicopter flying over Baltimore. So it's filming live action, and then later on, you know, they go in and touch it up with CGI and turn it into this future dystopian version of Baltimore. But yeah, they have this helicopter flying, and at a certain point, they have a crane that's filming, and it goes past a certain point, and then the camera jumps to the camera on the crane, and that lowers down through a building, see a crowd, Wes Chapman coming forward, and then the cameraman, after that, there's a third cut where the crane passes off to a DP holding a handheld camera. And yeah, so we've got 3 different cameras here and 3 different shots, and the way that they were just seamlessly intersected was really incredible. Like, you watch it, and I watched this little podcast where they talked about how they achieved it, and then you go back and you watch it, and it's super hard to tell where these cuts are, but it's 3 different cameras and 3 different shots that just all perfectly setting up this character of Baltimore and just executed brilliantly.
Today, in intergalactic headlines, the planet's Federation Board and Breck administration have ruled over 15 extraterrestrial beings and their artificially synthesized substitutes.
This is just a little funny observation that I came across, but my theory is that all the writers of The Expanse are raging alcoholics, which makes sense because, you know, most writers have a pretty serious relationship with alcohol. But yeah, in about every second scene, our characters are just drinking, for the most part, scotch. But yeah, beer, and we can't seem to have 2 characters come together and have a discussion without getting a little bit lit, which, you know, I can support, I can get behind that. Alcohol has its positives and its negatives. Yeah, so I put together a little supercut for you guys of all the consumption of ethanol within this episode.
Well rested.
Didn't want to interrupt. Looked like you were having a moment.
Thanks. Yeah, I was just talking to my kid.
How'd it go?
Don't call me daddy. I'm a member of parliament, not your favorite stripper.
You can be both.
You think I'm in the ghetto? I never surf.
I also think that the position that Avasarala has within the narrative in this season is far more tense than last season, eh? I didn't mind Avasarala's story arc in season 4, although just her running for re-election wasn't super interesting. But here, she has no control and she has no power, and she's figuring out this puzzle which has devastating consequences, and just because of the fact that she isn't in power anymore and she doesn't control the political landscape on Earth. There's so much suspense surrounding all of these moments as she discovers this bread trail and then tries to communicate it to people higher up the dominance hierarchy, but is incapable of getting anybody's ear. there's this scene where this scientist comes in the episode 3, and he's looking at all the rocks, and he figures out that on one side they all have the stealth tech, because that was the side that was open before it crumbled. And yeah, we have all these really interesting little like emotional narratives playing out. Basically all of our crew, other than Holden really, are going on these little stories into their back history with all these big emotional beats. And then within this like relatively slow drum playing out, it's all strung together by the asteroids. They keep on showing us all these great scenes of the asteroids heading to Earth. So the narrative is playing out rather like slow and methodical and just letting the drama and the emotion played out, but then it's underpinned with this incredible suspense of Avasarala figuring out all these moments and this rock heading towards Earth that's gonna once again take the Expanse and completely change the landscape of how this world is.
If you were in charge and someone came to you with this theory, you would laugh them out of your office, and if they persisted, you would reassign them to the farthest outpost in the Jovian system. Tell me I'm wrong.
The final scene in episode 1 was great as well. Avasarala is watching Marco on a terminal, and he's giving this big, epic, roaring speech to the Belters about, you know, control and dominance and how they've been hard done by. And then they get that speech and they cut it over the top of the visuals of him looking at the map. And the asteroid says like 12 days to impact or something. So yeah, we didn't get much of Marco in these episodes, but I absolutely love his character, and I can't wait to see more of the actor portraying him, just being super charismatic and engaging, and oh my god, it's all about to happen. We're also getting a far more deep emotional insight into Drummer's character. She's always had this hardened facade that she portrays, because obviously her life's been very hard and she's worked up the dominance hierarchy to be a captain of a ship and done all these incredible things. And yeah, the Belters are hard, man. The lifestyles are hard. You need to be hard. We see all that stripped away in that forceful persona that she puts on, just taken away here. We see her in a more domestic setting, and I have to say that her little ship is absolutely brilliant. I had some previous complaints in season 4 about the Belters being portrayed more so as like refugees and victims than how they are in the books, which is more like, you know, these hectic, radical, yeah, unhinged, like, they're a bit twisted. And yeah, these kids were great. They had this like punk rock image to them. They're all standing around listening to music. We had this great sweeping shot zooming around the ship, showing them just setting up a meal with this song playing, and they're all partying with their tattoos and their punk rock hair. Then there was a great moment too where Drummer's ship goes into thrust and we see all these objects fall down and hit the table. It's not often that we actually see stuff move from 0G to gravity. Normally we see those different states at different times, but to see it actually transition was great. And Franck also talked about these polyamorous relationships that the Belters have within the ship, and the idea that because they're not just work colleagues, right? They're in these metal boxes flying through space, and you're living with these people, so they become your family. And because of their hectic situation and these life or death moments that are constantly happening, like at any moment an accident could happen and the hull could be breached, and or the atmosphere could be voided. So they develop these relationships with each other, and they're all sleeping with each other, and they're more like a tight-knit family rather than co-workers.
Every time.
So yeah, Amos goes down to Baltimore to explore elements of his past due to this death of Lydia, who was like a mother figure to him. If you read the Churn, that goes into that whole narrative and how he got out of Earth and his relationship with her way before the Rossi and all of that. And there are a bunch of great character actors in these little moments. The guy who played Charles, this like older black man, I thought he did an absolutely incredible job. I could watch him for hours and hours. And there's this character called Eric. I thought the actor did an absolutely brilliant job too. And they talked on that podcast thing about inclusionary casting, like the idea of casting people with more varied ethnic backgrounds and differing physical abilities. The guy who plays Eric is physically disabled. He has like a deformed arm, and yeah, just the idea of a show not being preachy and not shoving it down your throat, but still being able to work in all these like inclusionary casting options, and it absolutely working with the narrative, because you know, in the future all these races have interbred more and we've become more of a mixed race culture rather than all these separate cultures living out individually, which makes complete sense and is obviously what is going to happen. So yeah, I just tip my hat once again to The Expanse for hiring amazing actors that are of different ethnic backgrounds that look great, and the idea not being preachy or shoved down your throat and actually really working with the narrative. And then yeah, including great actors with physical disabilities who would normally not get these roles, and you know, like traditionally like 50s Hollywood where all the leading men were like white, tall, 6 foot buff guys. So yeah, good job guys, good job.
You remember when we were just street trash? Sitting on the docks, watching the shuttles leave, wishing we were on them?
I'll never forget that.
So Holden's all alone, everybody's left him, his family's not here on the roster anymore, they're all scattered throughout the solar system. He's scanning through his messages and no one's leaving his messages. And yeah, basically he's gonna get this new crew now, who is Bull, Fred Johnson, Monica, and there's a Belter engineer working on the Rossia, I forget her name. But yeah, I like the idea of all these characters coming together and Holden having to deal with them. Like I said, I'm still warming to Bull. He's an arsehole, but he's supposed to be an arsehole, and I'm sure I'll warm to him. Monica, we all know Monica, she's a terrible human being, but also, you know, she's not. And yeah, it's great to see Holden out of his comfort zone and doing something different, you know. We're 5 seasons in, and rather than repeating the exact same thing again and again, The Expanse once again takes the narrative and takes our characters and shifts them. And I'm sure once this cataclysmic event does transpire, that once again they're going to get the fabric of the show and completely twist it and turn it and flip it on its head.
Many ships left since she was taken?
No. I issued a temporary lock on all the docks.
I'm gonna keep digging on this end and find out who scrubbed that video.
So there's several moments in Amos's storyline where he's observing this woman and a young boy. And I'd read the Churn, so what I assumed they were doing was drawing an analogy between his relationship with Lydia and this other little boy and this woman. And Amos is viewing them and he's thinking about her and their relationship. But then, yeah, there's this great reveal right at the end of episode 2, I believe, where we cut to them on a dock and it is actually Amos and Lydia, and he hasn't been observing people that are analogous to that relationship, but he's actually been seeing these memories play out as he walks past this old street corner, which, you know, he grew up on and he's had 100 memories of. He's seeing these memories, and the way they manifested that on screen and then the reveal that they were memories, I just absolutely loved that moment when she said Timmy to him. I'm like, oh my god, that's actually her, that's actually him, that's great. Such great executed. Great filmmaking.
I love you, Timothy, but I'm not righteous.
As I said, yeah, all our characters have been shifted into different situations that we're not used to seeing them in. I loved watching Naomi come into her old self and embrace more of her Belter options. She combs her hair like a Belter and her accent thickens up as she comes and spends time with people from her past. And also Drummer, we're left on this note where she basically comes to the realization that she doesn't have the resources to take on Marco. She doesn't have the weapons, she doesn't have the intel, she doesn't have the people. And you know, she wants revenge. She wants to avenge Ashford and take on Marco, and she's emotionally damaged and hurt, but she comes to the realization that at the moment she's incapable of doing anything about it. So I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with her and how her story is going to progress over this season, because at the moment she's kind of like, well, that's me done. She's just looking at a bottle of scotch floating through 0G.
I'm sending you what Ashford found. Maybe it will do some good for the belt. This is not my fight.
There are also a lot of little great character moments with Holden, just pointing out the type of character he is, and obviously he's a good guy, but he does have these flaws, and he just can't help himself. He just, there's a moment when Monica calls him, and she's telling him about the protomolecule and these experiments going on, and he can't help himself. He goes to talk back to her and say, you know, that's all well and good, but you're on your own, I can't help you out. And he's like, God damn it! And yeah, I just burst out laughing, because once again, it's Holden not being able to help himself. And later on, a terminal rings and he presses a button. Fred Johnson's like, what are you doing? He's like, I seen a button and I pushed it. Fred's like, God damn it, that is you and a T, isn't it? And it really is. Fucking Holden.
But it proves that someone is going after the protomolecule.
Damn it. So yeah, of course Naomi's plan leads to her getting violently abducted, and that's the only way it could have ended. But that is a great character dynamic. We're basically going to get this big cataclysmic event that's equivalent to 9,000 9/11s, and then we got all our crew members split up within the solar system, and it's about this disaster transpiring and them all trying to get back to each other, and her being captured by Filip and Marco, and then trying to get back to Holden and the Rossi as all this hectic, extreme events transpiring. That's just a great setup for a great character arc.
What's going on?
And then yeah, we get the final sequence, which was so suspenseful for me. We got Avasarala, and they've had all these great character setups, presumably because these characters are going to die. We got a scene with her daughter, and then we got this scene with her calling her husband, and now we got this asteroid heading down towards Earth. So presumably these are all emotional beats that are going to pay off when these characters who she loves, that she's close to, are going to die. And yeah, I was just filled with just sitting on the edge of my seat as she's looking at her terminal, and that message sent by Fred Johnson that was sent by Drummer comes through, with Ashford talking to Marco and Marco going into her plan. And then yeah, the asteroid coming down, we got that guy fishing with his fishing glasses, or not really fishing, but like he's observing fish with his glasses, and the asteroid impacts and the credits roll, and I was just on the ground like, no, I need to see more. Where's the next episode? God damn it. So yeah, basically in conclusion, I mean, I'm really liking the pace that this season is playing out at. It's not just immediately smashing into this event and then showing us all the crazy chaos and stuff. You know, it's a 10-season arc, and I'm really enjoying these like slow, dramatic sequences of our characters exploring their pasts and their like emotional relationships with all these different people that we haven't yet seen. So I'm so on board. I mean, the cinematography looks beautiful. It looks big and epic and cinematic, even though it's a 10-episode television show. The writing is amazing. We got a whole bunch of great actors who are new, and obviously the returning cast. The script is amazing. The dialogue is great. We got this in-depth world and all this stuff that you can go deeper into with the novels if you want to, which of course I am, because fucking it's sci-fi. It's high concept, and it's playing out now on our televisions in front of us. I mean, it's like when Game of Thrones was good and I first discovered that. I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe this is actually so well written and for adults. So thank you all for watching, and it really help out if you guys could like, subscribe, and in the comments tell me how I got all the facts wrong and how my opinions are null and void. Thank you and good night. Yeah, so for any returning viewers who aren't just here for the Expanse but actually care about other stuff going on within the channel, obviously I'd reviewed all the big narrative beats for the previous 4 seasons of the Expanse with Steve and Jasper, and we're working our way up to this moment, and it's going to be a big deal. because we're reviewing all these older episodes of The Expanse that we've all seen 100 times, but now we finally actually get to review new Expanse, and the new season is dropping. It's going to be great. And yeah, so I brought a bottle of scotch, and Jasper and I sat down. He set up his projector. We watched Jurassic Park with his kids, which was great. And then, yeah, after 2 hours of Jurassic Park and 2 hours and a half of The Expanse, we drank a bottle of fucking scotch, a liter bottle of scotch, and we were fucking wrecked. And yeah, the review was just like absolutely garbage. It wasn't an Expanse review. It went for an hour and 20 minutes. We're talking about our personal lives and our problems and our woes. And yeah, Jasper wasn't that interested in The Expanse at all. He wasn't enjoying how it was playing out. And he wasn't even really interested in talking about any of the beats or the construction of it. And I was like, you know, we're here to talk about television and this television show. And if you're not interested in talking about it, like, we can't really do it. So yeah, I didn't have time to refilm the episode with Jasper. And I've been pushing Steve and Jasper rather hard over the last few months. Normally I like to film a review with people every month or so. Like, you know, this is my passion, this is my hobby, this is what I'm interested in. And I think I was just pushing them too hard. And I don't think that they're particularly interested anymore in sitting down and talking to this level of depth about this show with me. So yeah, following the themes of season 5 of The Expanse, isolation and being alone, yeah, I think I've just decided to go with me, and it's just going to be me and you guys in The Expanse season 5. So yeah, I'm sorry if anyone's disappointed. Steve's going to be coming back and doing a whole bunch of Stargate reviews with me. Jasper's still going to be part of his channel, popping in and out to do random obscure films that no one cares about or has heard of. So yeah, thank you for all being here, if anybody is still here, and I'll see you guys next week for The Expanse season 5. Oh my god!